I have to make a new film because I got all weird. I hate when I get weird. But anyway, what I was talking about was basically general undertow. One of the things that they would do on my submarines is they would get they would get the women that they're about to rape. Like I said, there was railings along the beds. If you're sleeping or whatever and you're about to fall off, you can grab the railing or whatever. Because sometimes the submarines would. But anyway, in what's it called? Anyway, I forget what the railings were for. I think it's for hanging clothes or something like that. But they're railings. Anyway, they handcuffed the girls to the railings. And some of these girls had some real marks where they were really trying to get out of the handcuffs. Fortunately, though, girls could make their thumbs small and get out usually. But the guys were too stupid to know that. So a couple girls actually did escape. I think 3 or 4 of the girls actually did do it right, where they waited until they're like, "Could you loosen the cuffs, baby? I want to make love to you the right way." Anyway, so a couple of the girls actually got away from the submarine, and they told a lot of stories about how what they would do is they'd say the guys would come in all high and stuff, and they would have their foot, and they'd be like, "You're gonna be a victim," and they would use their foot and go, "You're gonna be a victim of the undertow," and then they would rub their pussies and or their vaginas and basically get them all nice and wet, and the girls were handcuffed to the railings. Anyway, this is John McCain, Richard Nixon, and Jimmy Carter, and all that. What they were doing inside of my white submarines, and then they would rub the vaginas of the woman, and then they would proceed to kiss or make oral sex or rape the girls, basically. And then later on they would post in the and then later on when they were done with the girls, they would basically just take them up on the deck, throw them out there onto the deck, and then they would close the hatch and submerge underneath and leave the girls out in what is 150,000 miles of water. There's no way in hell that they would ever drift, they would ever get close to shore, and they would actually wash up on beach, and they would say, "Another victim of the undertow" in the newspaper. It wasn't until a girl actually told them about what they were doing on the White Star submarines, or the White submarines, basically that a lot of people put two and two together. All the newspaper ads, or all the newspaper reports that the reporters were reporting another swimmer is a victim of the undertow. Anyway, a bunch of people thought it was cute to post it as another beachgoer is a victim of the undertow, as the people would wash up on shores. I don't know. It was Jimmy Carter, Richard Nixon, and basically how sick, fucked up pieces of shit they actually were. Anyway, it wasn't until 3 of the girls actually escaped that they talked about all their horrible times that they had on those submarines. With John McCain, Richard Nixon, Jimmy Carter, and a lot of other people. Possibly the prince, the queen's son. He may or may not have been around somewhat. Anyway, though, alpha males. Anyway, and how they had the undertow, whatever, general undertow or something like that. Anyway, personally, like I said, I wanted to take my hand and basically get it over their head and basically squeeze until I could hear the cracking and popping of their skulls. I'm sorry, but it really pissed me off that they were using my White Star submarines. And also a lot of the volunteers. Like I said, it wasn't until there was a photograph of one of my submarines. This town was on fire, and it was reporting Germans were attacking town or something like that. And blah 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 or something like that. A town attacked by pirates or something. And somebody snapped a picture of my white submarine, and like I said, you could almost see or make out in the light from the fire from the town all the names of the volunteers that had volunteered on the submarine. Like I said, they were going down the line. There was 50 submarines, 50 white submarines, and or no, not 50. I mean, there were 8 of them. I think there were 8 or 20. I forget how many. I think there were just 8 or something. Or I thought there were 4. There are 4 or 8 submarines. There's a picture of all the submarines all there. But basically, one of them, because the volunteers had worked on all of them, and then on one of them they had signed their name in permanent epoxy paint. So they were all just as perfect, and I think they were signed in yellow or some color, so it's visible. So someone snapped a picture of it, and someone saw in the newspaper, they took a glass and they were, and they noticed that in the newspaper you could see these little dark lines on the submarine. Because even though it was in black and white, because there was a picture of the submarine, even though it was in black and white, you could still see, almost make out the signatures. So he took a glass and he was like, because it was a fairly close photo. And he was like, what the fuck? Because he recognized, he knew where he had signed his name. And he knew there was a space. And he couldn't read his signature, but he could read that there was these little faint black lines on the submarine. So he went and contacted the newspaper. And he said, I want to see your negative, or I want to see where you got that photo from. So he got the photo, and I don't know if it was a black and white or a color photo, but I think it was a black and white photo. But he got it, and he took a magnifying glass and he was looking at it, and he was like, God damn! I worked on that submarine, and that's how they found that they connected Pearl Harbor to those submarines and John McCain and basically his commando raids and the torpedoes, because they would. Because they would talk like they spread it around the world that a torpedo was a man's, member. So they would say, well, we had to torpedo her. Or whatever. Which meant, which was supposed to be code for we had to have sex with her. Or something like that. And they were raping people on the ships, but that was also meant torpedoing a ship as well. Because like I said, the ships didn't have radar, the submarines didn't have radar, they didn't have anything but a CB radio, which everyone else could hear. So they'd hear on the radio, blah blah blah, torpedo or commando raid or blah blah blah, and they would think about this one thing. And what a commando raid actually was a man wearing nothing but commando. A commando was basically no clothes, and basically just a G-string or a thong. And pretty much that was a commando raid. And pretty much you would rape and grab girls or grab whatever you could get and then go back and take them back to the sub. And that's what John McCain, Richard Nixon, and JFK were doing. And that's what was really damning about their whole, senator and career. Like I said, John McCain wore guns underneath his armpits until he was 50 or 60 years old. So... anyway, I was away or not paying attention or just didn't really realize, I didn't know that a lot of people didn't know what John McCain was doing when he was 20 or 15 years old. And I don't really care. I mean, it's it's in the past or whatever, but basically, they were pirates. They were horrible people. Anyway, though, Germany, like I said, went up and basically shot because they realized where the submarines were coming from. They tracked one of the submarines back to Pearl Harbor, and that's when they went and basically used armor-piercing bullet rounds, and the guys on the submarines were like, "You're never gonna puncture our hulls. You can't touch us." And that German went, "Oh yeah," and brought out a special case of ammo, a case of ammo that they had never seen before. Loaded up, or special tip bullets. They had a different color. Or something like that. I forget what it was. I think he used a 30mm cannon. I forget if it was a chain or cannon shells. Anyway, he went and just shot 6 holes in each of the subs just below the waterline. And basically, the Germans had armor-piercing rounds, so it went right through the hulls. Ting, 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 and the submarine went bloop. So anyway, Basically, what happened is John McCain, Richard Nixon, and JFK had gone in and killed the people that worked at the submarine rental place.